This is DDS. From the DDS studios, we are your hosts, Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, and from the man cave, you all know him, you love him, it is Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker. Parker, what's going on, doe? Oh, hang on here, you're still muted. Now you're, we have testicle difficulties here. Testicles. You are muted, my friend.
There we are. Hey there, fellas.
All right, how you doing there, big guy?
I'm good. Hey, this is going to be a great podcast.
We do this shit in one take, guys. We don't do any retakes.
We're not robots here.
Nope. We're not bound by anything. We do it the way we want to fucking do it.
It was a little 5-yard penalty. We got 1st and 15. What we going to do right here?
Absolutely. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight on DDS Sportstalk. We're going to talk a little college football tonight. Before we do, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below on YouTube. Really helps us out. It's quick. It's free. Tell your friends all about it. Share all these videos with all your friends as well. Hit the Rumble button on Rumble. Check us out on all of our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Now we have a new Facebook page, and TikTok as well. As well. Go ahead and check out the audio versions of all these podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform as well. Now it makes sense. Newberry.
Yeah.
This shit just keeps changing every single day with college football, doesn't it?
It feels like these universities are in the we've got to make a decision now or we're left behind mode. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, I've read a few articles over the past week that said, you know what, if the SEC didn't make a move on Texas and Oklahoma, Parker, the Big Ten would have.
Yeah, everybody was saying, why is the SEC poaching these people? Well, they were doing it because they knew other teams were going to do it. You know, you got to get out there and you got to be first. And it is going to change so quick. I was listening to an interview with David Cutcliffe today, the old Duke and Ole Miss coach in Tennessee, offensive coordinator. And he's now working with the SEC. And he's like, I keep my ear to the ground. He goes, it's just happening every single day. It changes so fast. Like he can't even keep up with it. And he's a special advisor to the commissioner.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. You mentioned the speed of that all this is happening. I mean, it is incredible, how we heard, about the possibility of super conferences last year, alliances, quote unquote, being formed last year. We did our podcast. Everybody go check that podcast out from last year. It just seems like now everything is in hyperdrive. It feels like 2024, this thing is going to be up and running. If not, I mean, it ain't going to surprise me if they try to get something going before then.
It just seems like, Parker, there's a lot of legal hoops to get through. There's contracts already out there, media license already out there. You never say never when it comes to all this big money in NCAA, but gosh, it just seems like there's too many hoops.
So much money. I mean, if the buyout on these things are tens of millions of dollars, so what? Jump, go to the conference. You're going to make more money.
You're going to make it up in the first year.
Exactly.
ACC is under a media right still till 2035, and people are talking about jumping now. I mean, think about how early that is. And the question is, are we going to have? And we kind of touched on this last one, but is it going to be 2 super conferences? Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 4? It is going to be super conferences. That argument is done.
I think you're exactly right, and I think that you're right on the money side of it. I mean, I don't think that it's that big of a deal for them to be breaking these media deals because the media companies see that there's money to be made here. You get your ESPNs or whatever, and they say, I want in on this. We're already in with the SEC. Let's make this as big as we want to make it kind of thing.
I think it's just give and take, just like Parker said. It's I think about it like what I do with my work with working with Verizon Wireless is, look, the market is saturated. Unless more people are born, all you're going to feel, Parker, is just people going from one media to the other media. So it's not like they're not going to get paid. It's just you might get paid from a different media outlet, a different amount.
Yeah,
they're not going to miss anything.
The media companies are not going to boycott the super conferences. I mean, they're trying to figure out how they can make the most money possible.
I guarantee you right now, there are conversations behind closed doors, whether they're supposed to be having them or not. ESPN is licking their chops Fox is licking it. Everybody is just trying. Netflix, Amazon,
yeah,
who knows?
They're licking it. Don't worry.
I mean, anybody could get involved on this. The quick question is now, when Oregon, I'm sorry, not Oregon, but when USC and UCLA fell, we thought the domino may fall the next day, right? Everybody thought what was coming. So what's that next domino? Is that today? Is that tomorrow? Or is that next year? And I don't know. We could guess at it, but I don't think anybody knows other than those schools.
There was an article out a couple days ago about, what was it? Virginia, FSU, North Carolina, and who else was it? There's one more.
Virginia Tech, did you say?
No.
It was just
not
Virginia
Tech.
It was just Virginia. It was FSU, North Carolina, Virginia, and there was one more. Clemson. It was Clemson.
Clemson.
That were all like talking like this is going to happen. This is going to be part of the SEC. And that may be really how it happens. They may just say, who wants to go where? Where does it make the most sense? And then they take the ACC and divide it in half and say, one's going to be Big Ten. Part of it's going to be Big Ten. Part of it's going to be the SEC now. And then I personally think there's not going to be enough spots, because I don't think that you really need to be having more than 24 teams in one particular super conference. But I do think there's enough to make a third super conference, whatever you want to call it.
I still think, or hope the Big 12 pillages the Pac-12. Or they combine. I really think you would be more likely to jump into the Big 12, because what's the Pac-12 have? They have Oregon and Washington. Other than that, they've got nobody, right? At least Big 12 have still got some cachet to it. And then we mentioned this the last one, I hope to God the SEC doesn't get all the ACC teams, because if they do, then we're done with that. It's going to be a 2 or 3 super conference. I really, really, on my soapbox of wanting Notre Dame to join the ACC, just to keep it 4 super conferences and just have a little bit more parity still in the game.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't mind that idea either.
No.
I don't know. Why am I the only one that's tooting the horn to the Arizona schools? And what about Cal? Don't they? What's wrong with Cal?
I sent you guys an article earlier that was talking about Arizona joining the Big Ten. Right? Didn't I send that to you guys earlier?
I believe that's see, this is funny. I've read and talked about this today, and it's already hard to keep it straight.
Yeah, I mean, so Arizona was talking about the Big Ten, and then I hear Oregon and yeah, and there's another one. I think I sent you guys another one about Arizona. One of them was on there.
Arizona to the ACC.
The ACC. So there's Parker's theory that the ACC lives through this. So maybe it's the big conference and the SEC conference and the ACC conference.
ACC does have some bigger teams, what people think. So if you go back and you look at some studies between 2015 and 2019, because we're not going to include 2020 because of just the craziness. And there's something called the 4 million club, and that's where you had 4 million viewers for your game. The biggest was just the interconference one, Notre Dame, Army, just different ones that mix and match. After that, the biggest ones, there were 55 SEC only games in that 4-year stretch that had 4 million or more viewers. Big Ten, there were 49. The next closest to that is the ACC at 13.
13.
So what the ACC really is going to struggle with is relevance in that category. I mean, are they a draw? In the media companies' eyes, I mean, I think the media companies could potentially have a bigger role in the formation of this as well, because they're going to be the ones that give them that information to say, look, no one gives a shit about watching Duke and North Carolina play football.
No.
Sorry, ACC guys. You may hate me for that. Sorry. But they don't.
You don't like the matchup of...
no one likes watching the Fighting Cutcliffes.
You don't like the matchup of Maryland versus Georgia Tech?
No.
Georgia Tech might be the worst team in the NCAA this year. I'll go into that later. So I got a whole thing written about
They
them.
gave us Calvin Johnson,
I mean,
Hall of Famer.
And Duke gave us Daniel Jones.
hey, it's a new year for We're not talking NFL.
Yeah.
You stay tuned for our NFC East prediction show.
Yeah,
we'll talk about Daniel Jones.
It's interesting though, because I mean those kind of comments, pose the question: can you take everybody from a particular conference like the ACC if they are trying to be folded in? I mean, because look, if those 4 teams that we were talking about, that we had heard the rumor from on the article about, the North Carolina, the Virginia, the Clemson, and the FSU, dude, that's a huge chunk, I would imagine, of their revenue as far as media. If that happens, is the ACC done?
Yes.
I think there's still a formula that they're okay. I mean, they can put something together, but they'll have no market in Florida unless they bring up UCF, right? Because you're about to lose Miami, potentially both Miami and.
I think Miami kind of holds all the chips right now in the ACC. I really do.
That's interesting.
They have the biggest media market really for the ACC. And they're probably between them. I mean, Florida State that's not a huge media market. That's just there's a lot of legacy nostalgia stuff that goes on there with fans for that. But the Miami market and the fact that they're actually making noise and recruiting and things like that, and people get to, go down there for recruiting and say, yeah, I want to go to South Beach. I mean, it's a huge deal as far as revenue if I'm looking at it from a dollars and cents perspective.
Miami is massive right now. They're the most the hyped team maybe in the country. They got a new coach. That coach, the reason he got it is he's married into a family with a billionaire that's really willing to write him a check. He's also got another best friend who's a billionaire, is really willing to write him checks to bring anybody in. NIL is massive in Miami. I mean, huge. They are they're going to start becoming one of the top. When you look at these charts, they're going to be those top 3, top 5 teams moving forward.
And when it's in a state where there's no state income tax, it's where all the billionaires live. I'm convinced that there's something to that. When you're looking at the Tennessees of the world and the Florida and any team in the Florida, states that don't have income taxes, where all these rich people are going to avoid their income taxes. NIL is a big deal. It's a big deal here in Tennessee. And like you said, they're making a lot of noise down there in South Beach too.
And I know I've hit on this already numerous times, but I'm going to do it one more time. Of those games I was telling you about where they had 4 million viewers, the top 4 schools that were involved in those, number 1, everybody could probably guess it, Alabama. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Michigan. And number 4, nobody, not in a conference, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame really is kind of the linchpin on all this, isn't it?
I 100% think it is. And I would love to be Notre Dame. They're just sitting back right now.
This has been the same story with Notre Dame for decades. I mean, you remember when there was no college playoff, they wanted Notre Dame to not be an independent. I mean, this has been the same storyline forever, it seems like, with them. And they love it. They love not being affiliated.
Yeah, it's funny because it's almost like there are times that I think that they just don't want the attention, but yet they get all the attention because of the fact that they're unaffiliated. They got media deals that are independent of all these conferences. So they own power that these teams that are in these conferences don't have. It's an interesting kind of paradox for sure.
They want Notre Dame because with Notre Dame comes the NBC deal, right? Like that's where all the games are. The thing that might be different about it this year, though, when other years pass about trying to get Notre Dame to join, if they do go to super conferences and break away from the NCAA, which I 100% believe is happening sooner than later, they're going to have to be in one. Like they won't be able to be an independent and still play their way into whatever this new super conference national championship is, because you would have to be. It'd be like there being an NFL team that's not part of the AFC or NFC.
It's a very good analogy.
So if they go into that mode, I just don't think that they have a choice.
How fun would this be if the whole college football landscape decided, you know what, we're going to do this and we're going to go like a fantasy football draft. We're going to let the SEC have 6 keepers, the Big Ten have 6 keepers, the ACC have 6 keepers, or whatever. If there's 2, 3, whatever. And then you just get to draft which universities come in after that.
I don't doubt that would be fun.
That'd be
but I think that it would
every 10 years.
destroy.
Well, they're already destroying it. I mean, the whole landscape. You got teams out west that are talking about ACC
I'm
on the east.
I'm talking as a
garbage.
selfish SEC fan. You know, losing the potential to have, you know, the Tennessee-Alabama game,
keepers,
Tennessee-Florida
keepers.
May not be able to, though. I mean, it's
6 to 8
be,
keepers.
I mean, it would be, but you don't know that. I mean, it's.
We're making up our own rules here.
I know. We do it our way.
Have 8 keepers.
I'm unapologetic.
Parker says Vandy stays. They were a founding member, by God.
Not in this scenario, they don't stay. Not in this scenario. But I like. Hey, there are crazy ideas out there. Why not get a 20-team super conference and do relegation like they do in soccer over in England?
Like
so you've got
the for grabs.
There you go.
The win their way in. They
bottom 4 out, top. Exactly. It'd be fun. It's kind of the same as Brad's idea. Like you pick the relevant ones, but hey, here's a fun one. Let's say if you're picking 6 keepers for the SEC and Texas, Oklahoma don't count.
Okay.
Who are you keeping right now?
Alabama, Florida, UT, Georgia,
Auburn.
What are we at?
5. So now you're down to
Ole Miss,
Kentucky.
No. I'm thinking of LSU and A&M.
That's what I'm saying. You got Kentucky, South Carolina.
They're out in this scenario. You're not giving me enough spots. So my 2 are down to LSU and A&M.
See, I just don't think that works. I don't think it's enough keepers in a 20+ team super conference. That's not enough.
You have to go 8.
I think it'd have to be LSU if you're picking just because they've been around.
Wow. But
I think there's holes in that.
That doesn't mean that you can't redraft some of those other ones. Because you would naturally lean towards what you know. I mean, we see this whenever we do our fantasy football draft. We tend to draft people that we had last year because we know the production they give. So it's the SEC they're like, hey, LSU's on the board. Do we take what we know in this university or do we try to roll the dice with Virginia?
See,
they're going to go LSU.
I think where the big problem with that is going to come is though a team might not be particularly your favorite team, there is media market dollars involved, and you can't take that away. Media companies aren't going to go for that.
So why is Missouri in the SEC then?
I wanted to fucking know that shit forever.
They want St. Louis, Parker? What is that? Or is that just because it was the only option at that moment?
That was a failure.
Well, they had to bring in another team other than A&M, right?
One with them.
I mean, so that's
the one that they wanted. I don't think. I think that's the one they settled with.
Exactly. So they were going to do anything to get them, right? That's the only thing with that. And you're right. The problem with doing the keepers, you'd maybe have to do it every 10 years because teams suck, right? Like you wouldn't have taken Alabama probably in the 90s.
Right.
You know, stuck in the middle or worse.
Right. As far as production, you're right. But Alabama is a very productive and lucrative brand. It's the same thing with Tennessee that we're going through right now. We haven't been very productive on the field, but we are a very profitable brand. And what organization is going to say, no, I don't want that money?
Hey, Parker, I got a question. Do you take Alabama in the brand or UCLA in the marketing?
Alabama.
Because I think Alabama's brand is bigger than UCLA.
I think
the market, the Los Angeles market is what I'm talking. Do we take market versus brand? It does matter
market size, but market doesn't count like it used to unless it's like local news or something like that. When it comes to being a major teams in college football or the NFL or stuff like that, it transcends markets. If we're talking baseball, yes, it's a different thing. That's a local market type of a sport. But Alabama, man, they are watching that in LA, New York, you name it, they're watching it. There's a reason why the list I just read off to you about the 4 million viewers, I didn't say one Pac-12 team.
Nope.
All right, everyone that's watching this right now, if you are out west and you have seen an Alabama game, comment below, hit the like, let us know that you're watching, because I don't believe it.
I don't know.
I don't think they're watching the toothless Alabama football team.
I'm just telling you that I think that probably it's the only football they ever get to see whenever Alabama's on, one of the big ABC, NBCs. They don't get to see much good football out there.
I think they get local during that time slot.
I mean, if they
I don't know, I want
maybe
the people.
Maybe that's why their ratings aren't that great.
I want the people to tell us what do you see on Saturday afternoons, because I'm not sure that it's Alabama.
I would assume it's the Big Ten and SEC because their games aren't starting till later. So our games are earlier. So they're getting that game at 10 a.m. or noon. Yeah, depending on what
it's hour 2:30 CBS, so that'd be 12:30 Pacific.
Yeah,
which is probably
let's watch the Arizona Wildcats
play Cal.
Whoop de fucking do.
It's a big deal to them. I want all of you to tell me what you're watching at 12:30.
I mean, look, you want to watch a big deal, you watch A&M and Alabama play. Maybe
that's not what the people in the Pac-12 think.
You watch Tennessee play Ole Miss again.
Maybe they laugh at Tennessee. They're like, why am I going to watch Tennessee Vanderbilt, two teams from the state of Tennessee?
No, I don't think
they watch real football.
Well, if they're wanting to watch Vanderbilt, they're not wanting to watch real football.
They're like, you want to watch Stanford Cal? That's real football right here.
Okay.
Legendary, the band, baby.
Yep. That sounds great. It sounds riveting.
The question is, who wants the teams that are going to be left out? Who wants Washington State? Who wants Oregon State? Who wants Cal? Who wants some of those teams that nobody's watching? I don't care where you're at.
And there's going to be a lot. That's my point, is there's going to be a sizable amount of teams that are not going to be in these two main super conferences that we're talking about. I mean, there's going to be a UCLA, or not a UCLA, a Cal. There's going to be a Cal. There's going to be Arizona State. What about Oklahoma? Well, Oklahoma State, I guess. Never mind.
Baylor, TCU.
Yeah.
You've mentioned Boise State.
Yeah. There's going
Virginia
to be those...
Tech. Are they going to be the Pitt? Are they going to be West Virginia? Are they going to be there? Duke.
I mean, and then you've got these upstart, Cincinnati's and, teams like that are just kind of coming along here as the years come on, that are like, hey, I want a piece of this. I mean, but they're not a household name. It's kind of, there's probably going to be enough for a third super conference, but I think the trouble is going to be not to have two very highly competitive ones and one that's just a bunch of,
oh no, not the pool noodle.
Rec league teams.
I'm on the fly
trying to find some Parker.
Yeah,
I want to see the fantasy draft.
It would be one of the most viewed things in. It'd be unbelievable. It'd be like that, the Super Bowl and that draft. That's how big of a deal. I mean,
who does the draft?
I mean,
what I want to know.
You can give
the commissioners.
You can give DDS Sportstalk the credit. We can sponsor the draft, whatever you want us to do, but that's our idea. Let's have some keepers, and then all the universities televise a draft.
Maybe we should do. We got 3 people here. Maybe we should do a super conference mock draft to see how it goes.
How would we shape the landscape of college football between the three of us?
One of us could dress up as Greg Sankey. The other one could be 2 other jabronis. Doesn't really matter.
Speaking of jabronis,
what are their names? It doesn't matter what his name is.
I was about to say, speaking of jabronis, in other news, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is about to kick off this XFL business. He looks like he could run through a wall right now.
Yeah, you take enough steroids, man.
No, get out of here.
No, get out of here. Really? Really? You think a 40-something-year-old man, 50, he's probably 50, actually. A 50-year-old man is really putting on muscle like that just by eating steak?
That's all natural from the youth.
Okay.
I'm looking up. He is 50 on the dot.
McGavick High School. That's right there.
Hey.
Dwayne Johnson.
I'm the XFL. Every time they try to do something, they gets killed from both times from a virus. It seemed like I don't know that XFL and the USFL can both make it right. So with the USFL, when they started it, they gave everybody a 2-year contract, knowing that the XFL was starting. So now you're going to go from NFL players to USFL players. Where are they getting these XFL players?
Yeah, but
we might get a phone call. Can we still throw it? I just don't want to get hit, man. I can't take a hit. Shit, I can sling it. I can't take a hit.
Well, let's put a bow on this college thing. Are we done talking about this college thing here? Is there more to this that needs to be? I mean, look, we're hearing every day. We're seeing smoke everywhere, right? All kinds of different teams are talking about to go into different conferences. Where there's smoke, there has to be fire, right?
Yeah, I mean the next one's got to be Oregon and Washington to Big Ten. Like that's the leading one right now. But who knows? Tomorrow they go to the ACC for all I know.
What do you think?
I think ultimately it doesn't matter. There's only one league that matters.
It just means more.
And everyone out west, you just go ahead and hit the dislike if you don't agree with us, but and let us know what we're missing. But look, I keep sounding off for all of you about the Arizona schools, the Cal. Unless they just are all left behind and they come together, I think there's got to be some relevancy there, right? With Cal and UCLA and Arizona State.
What you hope,
leaving out Washington State, Oregon State.
You hope that there's a plan, right? That there's somebody that's leading this charge in some way. I don't. It doesn't have to be.
But if they weren't prepared, they're going to get left behind.
Well, that's where these commissioners all have to be in the same room talking somewhere about this, because
maybe not. Maybe that's the
otherwise you're going to have people like who we were just talking about, Oregon and Washington go into the ACC, and then 6 months later the ACC doesn't fucking exist anymore.
I think it'll exist,
but you get my point. They could be transferring to a conference that may not be there in 6 months.
According to our YouTube comments, we could get the great research schools from the Pac-12 and head on over to the Big Ten.
Here we go.
Hey, I appreciate the comments.
But my question, my thing is the Pac-12. Now that USC and UCLA are gone, can y'all tell me the last time a Pac-12, not counting USC, won a national championship? Because I cannot. I can know Oregon went to one
in football.
In football, because I would have to look it up. I just don't know. Yeah,
that's a heck of a stat there.
I know Oregon went, but they didn't win. USC won twice in 2004-ish, and then man, I would really have to. Yeah, I don't know. Point is, we don't know.
We don't know if this is just going to be football, if it's going to be football, basketball. I would assume it'd just be football, just to kind of see how everything plays out. But, if you're talking about bringing North Carolina into the fold and Virginia, now you're talking about basketball schools that, might make things a little more interesting for sure. But I don't know. Let's see. I think that's about all I got on college. What else y'all got on it?
Unless you want to touch on how your orange and white team is making some recruiting noise real quick.
Parker, it has been a whirlwind over the last week or two. Tell us the good news about the Big Orange.
The good news is apparently this coach they brought in named Josh Heupel that couldn't recruit can recruit. That was the big downfall, right? He couldn't recruit. Now, granted, it's probably because he brought in one of the best quarterbacks in the country and everybody's following him, but so what? He had to bring in that guy too. So Tennessee in the 2023 rankings has jumped significantly. They are the number 5 team in the country, right behind Texas and right in front of Penn State. But more importantly, they are number 1 in the SEC for 2023 recruiting, followed by national champions Georgia. Surprisingly, after that, you've got Arkansas, LSU, and then finding themselves at number 5 in the SEC, Alabama.
I bet that doesn't actually sit too well with old Nick Saban down there in Tuscaloosa.
Blake said this could be the end of Nick Saban.
I think it is. I think he's done. I think this is going to be a type of football he's not going to want to compete in because, everybody's kind of on an even playing field here. It's all out on the tables, these NIL deals. There's no more having to hide shenanigans or anything like that. And, everybody else trying to play by the rules, and maybe or maybe not another team who keeps winning national championship might not be playing by the rules. There's no more guessing about that kind of stuff. Now they're going out and they're flexing their muscles with their pocketbooks, and it's showing, because it allows the actual product for these college programs, which is the school, the atmosphere, the fan bases. And when you're talking about Tennessee, you're talking about a fan base that's second to none.
I don't disagree with you on the Saban point. He has been used to for years to walking into a room going, I want you. Yes, sir. Let's go. I'm going to get my payday at Alabama. I'm going to get drafted. Well, now you can get that payday right now somewhere else for more.
Yep.
People still want to play for the best coach in all of football, right? But it makes it a lot more difficult.
It does. But I feel like there's a lot more parity coming in college football. I think it can only be good things to have more teams that are competitive and actually have a chance to beat some of these larger schools. There's a lot of teams. I'm shocked to hear that Arkansas was up there so high. That's great. That's great. You think about how you're talking about markets. That's a small market. That's a super small market. So I think this is I'm very excited as a Tennessee fan, obviously, but battered Vol syndrome, I've got to see it. Got to see it on the field. They're the only team right now, Parker, that has 2 top 10 edge rushers in the class of 2023.
I know it's amazing, and not to pour cold water on it, but these are commits. Like, they could back out. Sure. You've got to go out and do something on the field this year. If Hypo goes out and they're terrible, they win 3 games, these people are not coming to Rocky Top.
You're exactly right. But, I think that the hype train might be real. Again, I'm a battered Vol. I have to see it on the field for me to really – I'm starting to get behind it. But I have to see it. I've unfortunately living through the Butch Jones era, we had to go through brick by brick, and we had a year where we were, we were so talented. we were,
did you just say?
Yeah. We were so talented though that year with Josh Dobbs in his senior year, and we just could not get it done. And that is really all that matters. And look, we're going to talk a lot more in depth about the Vols on our prediction shows, on our SEC East and West prediction shows, but there's still holes in this lineup, in this roster that need to be filled. We're on our way to doing that, but it's got to come a little bit at a time. It's got to come a little bit at a time. You got to stack recruiting classes.
The Butch Jones thing. Oh my God. I literally can feel it in my chest. I look down and my heart rate is at 128.
Whoa. Jeez. What happened?
Very, very hurt. Very hurt.
That is battered Vol syndrome right there.
I got something I want to run by you to a little. I've been digging while you were talking about the Vols.
Okay.
Parker, if you don't mind looking up 2008 national champions in college football.
That was Utah, right?
Well, I found an article that was dated August 26th of 2018 that says 10 years later, The Utah Utes are recognized as national champions.
Oh, because USC forfeited, didn't they?
How about that?
Yeah, but I mean,
That's give and take one from the other. 13
but
and
you
0.
yeah,
The
whatever.
Utes.
Yeah. Who was the head coach that year?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
him.
okay.
It wasn't Urban Meyer.
Okay.
It was Whittingham.
Okay.
Kyle Whittingham.
He might go back there, though. I've heard he might show up in college football again.
I'm not talking about it.
Hey, they're a sneaky good team to get for somebody. The Utah bringing them in, you know, it didn't Big 12 or Big 12 bring them in. God, I can't even. I got to look
They
it up.
should.
It's
They might be a
insane.
part of our draft.
They should.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Yeah, you can draft them in our mock draft that we're going to do.
First overall.
Absolutely.
I want to. Who wants to be the SEC?
I don't know. We may have to have a very vigorous round of rock, paper, scissors. Best out of at least 3, obviously. Possibly best out of 5.
It doesn't matter who you are because you get to pick from anybody.
You get well. You first have to. Yeah, you first have to make the decision on your keepers.
I will
And
take
then
the research conference and the big.
Throw everybody. Throw everybody else in the draftable pool.
Yeah, I like it. We might have to consider that. Hey, if you guys want us to do that, put it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is that all we got today? Yeah, I think it is. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight on DDS Sports Talk. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Share this video with all your friends. Go ahead and visit us on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
Oh Lord, he's
and
loading
Twitter. And go ahead and check us out on all of your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio versions of all these podcasts. Gentlemen, final thoughts.
Let me take you to a little poet corner in the heart of Philadelphia, where the Eagles' very own AJ Brown is spinning truths. Quote, "It's not even June 30th, to be honest, LOL. It's really 13 months in a year, and I don't think nobody knows what day or year it really is, LOL," end quote.
I am speechless yet again. Oh, Lord. There you go, Newberry. Top that. Top that. Top that. You can't beat that, right?
My final thoughts.
For those of you who are just listening, you got to see the video of that. You really do.
My final thoughts. A little farewell. Farewell to Heinz Field, Pittsburgh Steelers after 21 straight seasons. Hey, just like the players, the Pittsburgh Steelers looking for some money. And they've turned their eyes to a company called Acrisure. It's going to be Acrisure Stadium. This is a $23 billion insurance broker founded in 2005 by CEO Greg Williams. Not that Greg Williams, Parker. But let me give you a little something, a little history about old Heinz Field, old vaunted Heinz Field and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gentlemen, and everyone listening, there's only one team ever with a capital E in the same season has defeated the Steelers team in Pittsburgh twice in one season, and they've done it twice, Parker. The Jacksonville Jaguars in 2007 won a regular season game in Pittsburgh. 2008 in the playoff season, they won again in Pittsburgh. And Blake, 2017, those sevens, baby. They won a regular season game 2017 in Pittsburgh, intercepted Ben Roethlisberger 5 times, and then in 2018, layeth the smacketh down 45-42 and beat them again in Pittsburgh. That's my lasting memory. Farewell, Heinz Field.
Well, what my final thought is nowhere near as interesting, but congrats both to the Nashville Predators and Philip Forsberg for getting him re-signed. Hopefully he'll be here for years to come. Maybe we can get us back in the Stanley Cup finals. That would be great.
I think they said number
atmosphere.
9 for 8 more.
Come on, man. Let's get back. Let's go back to the Stanley Cup, guys. But as always, it is two-tone blue all the way. You guys be well.